and welcome to the TCM Classic Film Festival. I am your host, Jen Landa, and we are at the TCL Chinese Theater in Hollywood. It is opening night. We are on the green carpet, and tonight we are doing a special world premiere restoration of Barefoot in the Park, starring Robert Redford and Jane Fonda, who will be here soon. Yes. So I'm going to take you on a little behind the scenes adventure. We're going to play some trivia today. We're going to do a little bit of red carpet interviews. We're going to see Miss Jane Fonda herself, and you will be along for the ride. So first up, we're going to walk down here and talk to Letterboxd, our friend Mia, who has a question for me. I'm curious. Let's see. She has to.
We have the green carpet for Barefoot in the Park.
That's right, we do have the green carpet in honor of Barefoot in the Park. You might hear a voice off camera. That is my fabulous producer, Caroline.
Hello.
Thank you. Yes, and that's Chad reminding me to put my hair behind my shoulder. And let's go talk with Mia. Come on. Hi.
Hello.
Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. I am with Letterboxd.
Hi.
Hello. So you may know us as asking the classic 4 favorites question, but I
Yes.
have an even harder question this time around.
Okay.
Cary Grant or Jimmy Stewart?
I feel a tremendous amount of pressure because I know that everyone's going to tell me, pick Cary Grant. But my heart says I have to pick Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, I just love him in Rear Window, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. So many iconic roles where he plays the everyman. Cary Grant is a charmer, a friend of Carrie Fisher, which I like that as well. My heart belongs to Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, yes. That was a beautiful answer. You did very well under pressure. Answered it with aplomb. Thank you so much. Team Jimmy.
Yay, thank you, Team Jimmy.
And now, Jen, so we're going to go over to where the action is all happening at the TCL Chinese Theater. And we're going to interact a little bit with some fans. We have the red carpet stage.
The red carpet stage is over there.
Introduce what will be happening on this stage later
Yes,
today.
I will be talking to Alicia Malone on the stage. A lot of things happening over there. And behind you are the TCM fans.
Hi, guys. You're on TikTok Live.
Hi.
Yes, I see you. More taking, less talk, please. Thank you.
Excited for Barefoot in the Park?
Yes,
Outside of Barefoot.
that's right. That's right. People come from all over the world to the TCM Classic Film Festival. It is a place where movie lovers unite, stars unite. It's the only place that it can happen. I am just so excited. You can feel the electricity in the air. And yeah, I think what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a little bit of trivia. We'll test your knowledge on Barefoot in the Park. Welcome to the TCL Chinese Theater in historic Hollywood. We are live from the green carpet, and we're going to check out the world premiere restoration of Barefoot in the Park, starring Robert Redford and Jane Fonda. But up first, we're going to play a little trivia. We're going to test your knowledge and see how you do. Are you ready? Here we go. Number 1. Based on the 1963 play of the same name, Barefoot in the Park was written by this playwright. Is it A, Tennessee Williams, B, Neil Simon, C, Arthur Miller, or D, Woody Allen? I'll give you a few seconds. And the answer is B, Neil Simon. Fun fact, it was inspired by his first marriage. The stage play marked this playwright's longest running hit and is the 10th longest running non-musical play in Broadway history. It's a fantastic play. Many actors do the monologues because they're so rich and fun. On to number 2. Robert Redford starred in both the stage and screen adaptation of Barefoot in the Park. Who was his leading lady in the original Broadway production? Is it A, Jane Fonda, B, Julie Harris, C, Sandy Dennis, or D, Elizabeth Ashley? I could play the trivia music, but I won't. Give you a few more seconds. And the answer is D, Elizabeth Ashley. The fun fact is Robert Redford was initially reluctant to accept the role as he did not like the idea of repeating himself and believed it's standard practice for Broadway players to not be considered for parts that he had created on the stage. The film would be his first box office hit. And what a hit it was. Okay, We are on to number 3. How you doing? How you doing? Okay. This is a tricky one. I'm not gonna lie. Which film marked the on-screen debut of Jane Fonda and Robert Redford? Is it A, The Chase, B, Barefoot in the Park, C, Tall Story, or D, The Electric Horseman? Like I said, it's a tricky one. And the answer is C, Tall Story. Fun fact, Robert Redford and Jane Fonda worked on a total of 5 films together from 1966 to 2017. Barefoot in the Park was their third on-screen project together. And actually, in Tall Story, Robert Redford was kind of just like a background extra. And the last one, number 4, nope, we're doing 3. We're just doing 3. That's it. Because now, that is the beauty of live.
Speaking of their on-screen pairing together.
That's right. Tonight's main event debuts a world premiere restoration of Barefoot in the Park, starring Robert Redford and Jane Fonda, who will be here soon to introduce the film. So let's take a look at the original 1967 trailer, and stay tuned for more live updates from the TCM Classic Film Festival Red Carpet.
These footprints lead to the happiest motion picture in many, many, many a year.
Officer! We just got married! Paul, if the honeymoon doesn't work out, let's not get divorced. Let's kill each other.
Let's have one of the maids do it. I hear the service here is wonderful.
Barefoot in the Park, the barest, rarest, unsquarest love play that ever left Broadway to find happiness on the motion picture screen.
Forget it. They're never coming out.
How long's it been now?
5 days.
That must be a hotel record.
Wait a minute, Paul! Where are you going?
Work. I have to go to work. I don't do this for a living, you know.
Can't you call them and tell them you can't come in today? Tell them you're sick.
I am sick, but I have to go in today.
Last night you promised you'd never leave me. Thank you, Mr. Dooley. Next time you're in New York, just call me up. Did you miss me today?
No,
Why not?
because you called me 8 times. I don't talk to you that much when I'm home.
Martini to wash down a pill.
It'll make you feel better.
I had a martini at home. It made me sick. That's why I'm taking the pill.
Barefoot in the Park, the fun-filled story of a typical honeymoon. It's always an uphill struggle.
Oh, darling.
Did you know it's 6 flights?
No, it isn't. It's only 5.
What about that big thing hanging outside the building?
That's not a flight. It's a stoop.
It looked like a stoop. It climbs like a flight.
And their neighbors are most charming.
Do you know that we have some of the greatest weirdos in the country living right here in this building?
No kidding. Like who?
Well, like to begin with, in apartment 1C are the Boscos, Mr. and Mrs. J. Bosco.
Who are they?
Mr. and Mrs. J. Bosco are a lovely young couple who just happen to be of the same sex.
Their bridal heaven in Greenwich Village.
Well, in the first place, Paul, it's just a little hole. And in the second place, what do you want me to do?
Go to pieces, like me.
What's happening here? What is this? What are you doing?
I'm trying to get you all hot and bothered, and you're summing up for the jury.
It's the Wake Up, Break the Rules, Rock the Boat, Live It Up Comedy of the Year. Why don't you fall over laughing and go barefoot in the park?
Hi Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Well, I'm so interested in what inspired you to create your social media and also what you love about content creation.
Oh, I started my social media, my YouTube channel, because I'm a big Star Wars fan. Yeah. So I wanted to connect with fellow Star Wars fans, and I definitely have over the years. In terms of content creation, I really like diving deep into the history of the making of Star Wars. So celebrating people like Ben Burtt, sound designer, who created all the sounds of the galaxy, Marsha Lucas, who helped edit the first original Star Wars. And yeah, I love getting nerdy with it.
Yeah, well, Ben Burtt often comes to the film festival. He might be here tonight. And tonight's film is Barefoot in the Park, starring the one and only Jane Fonda. Do you have a favorite film of hers?
I do. There are so many iconic roles that she's played, but I think my favorite is They Shoot Horses, Don't They?
Oh, yes.
She is just a powerhouse.
Yes.
She plays a completely different character than we see in Barefoot in the Park, right? She plays a tough, cynical, desperate woman. And I think it really put her on the map in terms of cementing her serious, dramatic intentions as an actress.
I totally agree. I mean, she transforms with every role. It's incredible. Now, tonight you are hosting the live stream on YouTube.
Yes.
What are you most looking forward to on the red carpet? Or I should say, green carpet.
The green carpet. Talking with you, this is a highlight. Getting to see Jane Fonda herself, being around classic movie lovers. This is the only place that you can do it. It's my favorite time of year.
Well, I hope you have a great time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yes, and actually, be sure to tune in tomorrow because on the live stream on TCM's TikTok, we will be having a special guest, Glenn Close, who will be honored with her hand and footprint ceremony at the TCM Classic Film Festival. And actually, we have had many hand and footprint recipients over the years, starting in 2011. Peter O'Toole, Kim Novak, Jane Fonda, Jerry Lewis, Christopher Plummer, Francis Ford Coppola, Carl and Rob Reiner, Cicely Tyson, Billy Crystal, Lily Tomlin in 2022, Jodie Foster, and last year in 2025, Michelle Pfeiffer. And speaking of incredible talent that has been honored throughout with a hand and footprint at TCM's Classic Film Festival, up next is footage from tonight's guest of honor, Jane Fonda, when she was honored in 2013.
I grew up in this town, and when I was about Viva's age, I remember standing in front of this iconic Chinese Grauman Theater, just awestruck. And I remember walking these sidewalks and seeing the stars and the stars' names. And as I got older and older and older and entered what I call my third act, I was sure that the curtain on my third act would come down before this would ever happen. And then, to my great joy and surprise and honor, along came Turner Classic Movies. I mean, do we love this network? Oh, my Lord. What is particularly meaningful to me is that I'm going to be right next to my dad, right over there. And I can feel his presence right now. And he used to say to me, Jane, don't let this town walk all over you. Well, Dad, right now, the town can walk all over both of us forever. Thank you all so much for this honor and for being here. Thank you.
We are here with Genevieve McGillicuddy. Hi, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you.
And I'd love for you to tell the people what you do here.
Yeah, so I'm the executive director of the TCM Classic Film Festival, and I lead the team that is in charge of all the things that are TCM off of the network. So it could be the cruise, the festival, the publishing program, the wine club. We have a small but mighty team that oversees producing all of these things every year.
And what is it about the TCM Classic Film Festival or the cruises that has people coming back year after year?
I think the reason that we have so many people returning every year to the festival and the cruise is the community of fans. I think that people discover, oh, these are people who speak my language, they love these movies like I do, and they want to spend time with them. They want to spend their vacations doing that. And people meet at the festival and the cruise. I know of several weddings that have happened. There are people who became friends meeting at the festival who have a reunion every year at the event. It's really spectacular.
I did. I met a couple who met on the cruise and are now happily married.
Love it. We should promote that in our marketing materials.
That's right.
It's better than the apps.
What are you most looking forward to this weekend at the festival?
I think what I'm most looking forward to is the screening of Letty Linton, because it is such a rarity. This may not happen again, that we have a movie that literally no one at the festival has seen. It's a pre-code, and it stars Joan Crawford, and it's newly restored. So, I've heard the term re-premiere around this film, and I think it's going to feel like that. The energy level is going to be very exciting.
I cannot wait. We've already taken so much of your time. Thank you so much for stopping, and enjoy the festival.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Enjoy.
Brooke, it's so nice to see you here at the TCM Classic Film Festival.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Do you remember seeing Barefoot in the Park?
Yes.
Yeah?
Love that movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell
Great.
us about Jane Fonda and what she means to you.
Oh, she's an icon. She's a wonderful actress. She's a great political activist.
Mm-hmm.
I admire her so much. I think she's really smart.
I think when I think of watching those movies back in the day, what strikes me most is that how versatile she was. She could go from something like Barefoot in the Park, to Klute,
Yeah.
to They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Which I think was maybe the first kind of grown-up movie I ever saw as a kid. And just her range and versatility just amazes me.
Yeah, such power in her performances.
Yeah.
Well, Brooke, you're not just here for a good time this weekend. We're putting you to work.
Yes.
Tell us about what you're introducing.
I'm introducing Days of Heaven.
Yay. That's tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
At
what are
9
you-
o'clock, which I haven't been up. I haven't stayed awake till 9 in many years, but
But it's 9 o'clock LA time.
so it's
It's midnight.
Yeah, midnight, East Coast
Yeah.
time. I'm on
Good
East
luck.
Coast time too, so yeah. What are your memories of Days of Heaven and filming with Terrence Malick?
well, I was just saying actually to someone else that we didn't get to read the script or know the title until we got the parts. And the only reason I got the part was because the casting director who had put me on tape improvising didn't think I was right for it, and he was showing another person to Terry, and he passed my video, and Terry said, wait, let me see her. And he said, I don't think she's really right. And he said, let me see. And then he cast Genevieve Bujold in the role.
Yes. Yeah.
And then she did something he didn't like, and he cast me.
Oh.
So I was thrilled. Beyond, it was my first film. It was to play opposite Richard Gere and Sam Shepard.
Yeah,
How lucky was
good,
I?
Pretty good. I know I was just watching you in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which we're about to play on TCM. What does TCM mean to both of you?
Well, for me, it represents all of the films that I watched growing up, all of the films that my mother especially was a big movie buff, an avid reader, and would always kind of pull us away from our homework to watch whatever it was, African Queen, all of the classics, Hitchcock, and that's what TCM is. It's that, it's that comfortable place that you go to rediscover the works of the masters.
Yeah, I totally
Walk
agree.
down memory lane always.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, Tony and Brooke, thank you so much for stopping by, and I
Thank
hope you
you.
have a fun time seeing Barefoot in the Park tonight.
Oh,
thank you.
I am here with Disney legend, animator Andreas Deja. So nice to meet you in the flesh.
Same here. Thanks for having me.
Now, for people that don't know, He has created some of the most iconic Disney villains ever. Scar, Jafar, Gaston. Can you tell me what goes into the making of a Disney villain?
Well, the thing is, they cannot just be bad. You know, that would be easy, just to make them bad, say bad things, do bad things. They have to be interesting. They have to become personalities. So maybe they have a twisted sense of humor, or they have a sidekick, or they want something unique to that villain, you know. So with Gaston, for example, he is just so in love with himself. It's ridiculous. It's all about himself. And with Scar, of course, he wants to be the ruler of the pride. He kills his brother. He would do anything to be the ruler of the lion pride. So they all have their angle. They all have to be different. But most of all, they have to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. And you were actually here at the festival to introduce Alice in Wonderland, one of my favorite Disney films. Can you talk about how maybe the film inspired you, maybe to get into animation?
Yeah, I think I saw the film for the first time. I was probably a teenager. The very first one was The Jungle Book, and I thought maybe I think a couple years later I saw a re-release of Alice in Wonderland, and I absolutely loved it because it's the kind of movie where story-wise you have no idea where this is going, but you're along for the ride and loving it, because the only things that Alice wants is to get back home. But she meets all these eccentric characters. There's the crazy tea party. They are singing flowers, you know, and all these surreal moments that are very unique for a Walt Disney film.
Mm-hmm. And you actually are doing your own film, is that correct, with 2D animation?
Yes. When I was a kid, as I mentioned, the Jungle Book was the first Walt Disney film I saw, and at the age of 10 years old, I made the decision, this is what I want to do. And then years later, I started at Disney in 1980 and drew characters for them for about 30 years.
Oh, that's wonderful. When will it be released? The newest film, is it Mushka?
Oh, my own film, yeah. I did have a chance to produce my own film called Mushka, which I finished about 2 years ago. And it's now on all major streaming platforms. So you can look it up on Amazon and Apple TV and so forth. It's a half-hour hand-drawn film.
And how long did it take you?
Almost 8 years. It takes a long time to do these things because it was not backed up by a studio. It was my own film, independent film. So you have to find people who can help you. A lot of people were busy, so that was the reason why it took so long. But I'm really proud of it. And I had a chance to work with a Disney old-timer, a composer. Richard Sherman wrote the music for my film, and he wrote the music for the original Mary Poppins, for the Jungle Book, and all those films. So I came kind of full circle working with him.
It's such a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's enjoy the festival.
Thank you.
Up next we have...
Well, Kate Flannery, it's always so nice to have you here at the TCM Classic Film Festival.
Well, it's fantastic to be here. You know, my favorite channel, my favorite people, and to actually get to interact with you like a human being is crazy and wonderful.
Well, you are a TCM fan, so tell us, what does TCM mean to you? Do you have a story about TCM?
Well, TCM is my Valium, my caffeine, my Prozac. It is my comfort, it's my faith in the universe. It's my hope. Yeah, I mean, it's back to the future, you know? I mean, it's I'm looking back, but it's helping me move forward. And, you know, I used to work at a restaurant in Beverly Hills. I used to wait on some of the old stars that used to come here.
Yes.
The MGM folk, Ann Miller and Esther Williams and Mitzi Gaynor and Billy Wilder and Vincent Sherman. Yeah, these were crazy times, you know, and I'm so happy to have understood the importance of being there at the time and interacting with these souls.
Yeah, you have such great stories about everyone that you met, which we love to use for the film festival. What are you introducing this weekend?
I'm introducing a film from 1964, Sandra Dee, Andy Williams, Robert Goulet, and Maurice Chevalier, I'd Rather Be Rich.
Oh, yes, I have seen that one.
Yes, in 2026, identity theft is not funny, but apparently in 1964 it was hilarious.
It was a riot.
So,
well, do you have memories of seeing Barefoot in the Park for the first time?
I do. This was one of my favorite movies. My parents actually spent their honeymoon at the Plaza Hotel just for a couple nights.
Was
it
not
went to Canada.
6 nights?
It was
like
not
this
6 nights.
Yeah.
No, although I would not be here if there was no Plaza Hotel, I don't think.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you. Have
Mildred
fun.
Natwick, baby, right? I mean, there's
Oh
nothing
my
like an
gosh,
older
Mildred
woman
Natwick.
just coming in and just stealing the show.
And Charles Boyer.
Charles Boyer, too.
Still
I know, right?
suave.
Love you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Hope you have fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I am here with Kurtwood Smith and Joan Perkle. Hello, it's so great to see you both.
So nice to see you on such a beautiful day.
What are you most looking forward to at the TCM Classic Film Festival this year?
Well, I am looking forward to seeing Alexander Payne and Laura Dern tomorrow. I haven't seen either one of them in a while, so I'm looking forward to that, but that's purely on a social sense. And the remastered version of that film, Citizen Ruth, I think should be quite exciting. And I think it'll be great fun tonight seeing Barefoot in the Park. You know, that was such a great movie in its time. I mean, as you know, one of the early rom-com.
Yeah.
See, I never get into rom-coms. That's why I have trouble with the name. So we're looking forward to seeing that. It's been quite a while.
We're going to be celebrating the legacy of obviously Jane Fonda and Robert Redford. Do you have a favorite performance of either of them, or in the same film, since they did 5 of them together?
Wow, I didn't realize they did 5 together.
5 films, yes.
Amazing.
Yes, it was a trivia question.
Redford, I've always, I liked him so much in Butch Cassidy, of course, and the Sting, this movies he did with Paul Newman, but and then All the President's Men. I thought he was quite good, and he was quite good in that. And I know it meant a lot to him personally. So, I would say those 2, but there were plenty others. And Jane Fonda, oh my God, I wouldn't know where to begin in terms of films of hers. She did so many wonderful films. What do you think?
Oh, for Jane Fonda, gosh, the one that popped into my head was 9 to 5, but I've loved her in so many different performances. Coming Home, she was in Coming Home, right? Yeah. She was just fabulous in that. And, one of your favorites, I think, of Robert Redford's was The Way We Were.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. An incredible film.
Yes, excellent.
Well, thank you so much for stopping
Thank
by.
you.
Enjoy the festival.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Nice meeting you as well.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yes.
I am here with Marcia Gordon, author, film historian. It's so nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you.
Now, I would love to get your take on Barefoot in the Park. Obviously, I'm guessing you've seen it.
So, I have not. So this is what's exciting to me about tonight. There are very few films from this era that I haven't seen, even though I really specialize in like 20s to 50s, so it's a little bit outside of my wheelhouse. But this is one of them, so I am so excited to see it on the big screen at this theater with Jane Fonda here. Like, there could be no better opening night activity for me than seeing something for the first time. So I've got nothing to say now, but I'll tell you about it later.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Do you have a favorite Jane Fonda performance or Robert Redford performance? There are so many. I know.
There are so many. I mean, Barbarella, I love Barbarella so much. It's so outlandish and wonderful. And, I'm such a huge admirer of Jane Fonda for her outspokenness and the kind of range of her career. And I remember growing up in the 80s, of course, the exercise videos and having the VHS tape to learn how to do your aerobics. So she's just had an extraordinary career and an extraordinary life. In terms of Redford, I mean, it's so hard not to think about the Redford-Newman pairings because they were so charming together. So honestly, any of those, they're just so entertaining and they're so delightful. We need more movies like this, right, that make us feel that sense of kind of joy without cruelty. And so I think that they were really good at picking roles like that, especially, I think, Redford.
Yeah, well said. What are you most looking forward to this weekend at the TCM Classic Film Festival?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm introducing Next Time We Love, which is Jimmy Stewart's first starring role, and it's a film that's not seen that often, so I'm very excited to get to talk to audiences about that film. And then I was just talking to the guys from the Bad News Bears, and when I was growing up again in the 80s, it was like, that was such an important film. I was a softball player, you know, it's like, got the ball game going on, so I'm so excited to see them talk about this film. I love that so much of the cast is going to be here for that screening.
It was a very iconic film.
It was.
Big cultural moment in American history. So it's so great to talk with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the festival.
Well, Jacqueline, here we are back again at the TCM Film Festival.
Always amazing. You look amazing,
So
as
do you.
always.
I think we both got the theme of Barefoot in the Park.
We're park-like.
But I'm interested from you because you're both a professor and a TCM host.
Yes.
How does TCM connect you with other people through the shared experience of watching movies?
Oh, wow. You know, in my courses, we watch the movies together. We have screening times, and I tell them, you know, you might think when you're watching films in a class, you're just going to watch it on your own, but I know you're going to watch it on your phone.
Yeah.
Optimistically on your computer screen. So no, we're going to watch them all together, projected. So it means a lot for me as a teacher to have those moments of watching classic films together. And then at home, we do it all the time. It's the way I bond with my mother every time I'm with her.
I love that.
Yeah.
And watching classic films with this audience at the film festival is a whole other experience. What is it like?
Oh my gosh, the energy. I mean, people are applauding for all of the opening credits.
Yes.
And not just for the actors. I mean, they're so knowledgeable, they're so curious, they're so supportive. And the dialogue that you see people having in the line as they're going into a film or after, connecting with people they didn't know before precisely because they love the same movies.
Yeah, TCM really does bring people together. We see the friendships that form here.
Yes, years-long friendships, which is really cool.
Well, you've got some busy assignments, busy weekend ahead. What's something you're looking forward to?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm about to introduce Modern Times with one of my favorite silent film actors doing a quasi-silent film, Charlie Chaplin, in dialogue with Tony Shalhoub, which is going to be great. And then I'm also going to be doing a conversation with one of my favorite independent filmmakers, Charles Burnett, a restoration of his film, My Brother's Wedding, which is just remarkable.
Amazing.
And to see that film included in the framework of classic films really means a lot. And then at the end of the festival, I always do a silent Sunday night in person, and it'll be Lady Windermere's Fan, the Lubitsch
with
film.
the orchestra.
Yes, with the Monte Alto Orchestra.
Amazing.
Yes.
Well, have fun.
Thank you.
I'll see you
too,
around.
Alicia. Take care.
Thank you.
Hi, Ben.
Hi.
It's great to see you.
Yes, likewise.
Now, Ben, you will be conducting a live orchestra during the silent film The Patsy. Is that correct?
You're close. I'll be playing the theater organ.
Oh, the theater organ.
Yes.
Oh, how fantastic.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what makes these screenings so special with the Monte Alto Motion Picture Orchestra, the organs, and having that live music?
Well, when in both cases with Rodney Sauer and the Monte Alto Orchestra, or if I'm playing the organ, it's the fact that you're hearing live music and you're hearing something more than just a piano. Piano is a very convenient and easy instrument, but this is really what people heard in the 1920s. They heard ensembles of sizes from 4 or 5 people all the way up to a full symphony orchestra, and the theater pipe organ provided the same kind of a sound, and it was a much more rich, emotional, and lush kind of sound.
After people have experienced this, what do they often say? What is kind of the emotion after the film?
I find that people who have seen a silent film for the first time in a theater with live music, they always say, this was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. It's because you think silent film, it sounds like it's not going to be fun, but it's so much, much more, and it's very satisfying and fun for so many people.
For all the music nerds out there, I used to play piano many years ago. Okay. I would love to know, are there any sort of riffs or things that you find that are typical in silent film movies?
I think that there are things that I try to avoid that people associate with corny old silent movies, so I try to avoid stuff like that. I mostly have built up my own musical vocabulary the way a jazz musician might, and I'm drawing on that during the show, plus I have some of the themes worked out ahead of time. but a lot of the score happens during the show.
And besides this event, what else are you looking forward to at the TCM Classic Film Festival?
Seeing my fellow New Yorker Bruce Goldstein when be presented the Robert Osborne Award.
Yes, that'll be wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Enjoy the festival.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great to see you.
You as
I'm
well.
into the pinstripe.
Sure, it's from the George Raft collection. I just stole that from a fan.
Very good.
It was a good line. I like it. I'm going to use
that.
it tonight on stage. Yeah.
Okay, so you have so many interesting things going on this weekend. Of course, starting tonight with sharing the stage with Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
How do you juggle all of the different things that get thrown at you for the weekend? Does it drive your brain crazy?
I mean, you know what it's like. You got an idea of when it's really hard to know everything about Jane Fonda and Robert Redford and the work they did together, which we'll have for tonight, not just Barefoot in the Park, but the 4 movies they made together, in case anything like that comes up. I already know she wants to talk about The Chase, which is their first movie together. Barefoot in the Park is their second.
Okay.
And then immediately tomorrow begin the day with a hand and footprint ceremony with Glenn Close, and then an hour-long conversation with Carol Burnett before lunch. And you're like, well, and then it's weird how then an hour later at the end of one of those things, you'd be like, God, what did Carol Burnett say? I have no idea. I also know nothing about her life now. Like, I don't know, she's an actress, a comedian. Yeah.
She's great.
No,
and she's very excited. Well, you've also interviewed Carol
we've
Burnett
spent
on the
time
podcast,
together as you have.
Right.
She's just great. I just watched Amy Poehler's podcast with her. It was so good. It was so good.
She's got stories for days, Carol Burnett.
Yeah, I'm like, I hadn't heard that one. That's it. Yeah, they keep being good ones. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so you're always doing the hand and footprint ceremony. You're always doing opening night. What is something that when you saw on the festival that was smaller that you were like, oh, I really got to do that, and it's something that you're actually doing this weekend?
Right, because the main one that I wanted to do, someone else is doing.
Oh no!
But I think everybody wanted to do that one. I'm super excited to do Swingers.
Yes.
With Ron Livingston.
Vegas.
Vegas. You always double down on 11, Dave. I don't have to tell you that. Ron Livingston, really no BS, one of my favorite actors.
Always great.
He plays Mike's friend, Jon Favreau's friend. He isn't even with him at the end. He's too sort of calm and normal a guy to be super into the Hollywood scene. But I loved Loudermilk, his show, and Band of Brothers. He played Lewis Nixon, and it's phenomenal. So I'm super excited. And Swingers, a seminally important movie for me. Like, taught me at age, I guess I was 15 then when it came out. That taught me at 29, like, a little bit about what could be funny. Like, oh wait, some of this stuff that I think is weird that I'm not sure other people find funny. No, this is funny.
Yeah.
And so the movie mattered to me, and I'm doing it at the pool. I haven't done a pool movie in a lot of years, so I'm glad to be out there.
Pool ones are fun.
Yeah.
So you are now celebrating, am I right, 23 years of hosting on TCM?
23, yeah. I started in 2003.
So you're up to the amount of time that Robert Osborne was a host on TCM, and possibly even longer than that.
Not yet longer. He was like 23 years and a month.
Okay.
I'll hit 23 years this summer.
And then they're going to pull the plug.
Right, then they're going to pull the plug. Or right before. Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay, so the reason I'm bringing that up is I'd love to hear what you have to say, now that you've been doing it for so long, when you think about what TCM means to people now, after you've now been doing this for as long as you have, what would that be?
I think that the evidence is in that we mean more to people now every day. The best day for TCM is today. Yesterday sucked. Today is amazing, but tomorrow's going to be better. And I don't say that because I'm like some optimistic person. It's just that this channel, maybe because of the kind of world that we live in, and I'm not talking about necessarily the political division, although I think that relates to it. Movies bring us together, they really do. But that we're pulled in so many different directions by so many different forces that are too strong for us to combat. Like, the phone is stronger than we are. We should probably stop yelling at people for being on the phone. That's what they wanted us to be. And here's a place where that all cools down, where everything stops and slows down, and you have a moment where inevitably you think about your mom and dad, you think about your brother, you think about people you've lost, you think about people you don't want to lose, you think about your grandparents, even if you didn't know them, maybe great-grandparents, right? These are the kind of movies they liked. This is the time they lived in. This is what they felt. This is how they walked. This is how they talked. That matters, right?
Yeah.
Slowing our heart rate down matters, and connecting us to the people who came before matters a lot.
Here's the last thing. I know for our...
I am here with the Bad News Bears. I'm going to have them all introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Christopher Barnes.
And he played Tanner. I'm David Pollack. I played Rudy Stein.
Dave Stambaugh, Toby Whitewood.
Brett Marks, I played Ahmad Abdul Rahim. Feldman.
He needs to defend himself.
Is this the first time that you all have reunited in one place? Do you get together every year? How does that work?
We're still missing a few castmates. They are coming for the Sunday re-premiere here at Grauman's Chinese Theater. They're going to play Bears, first time in 50 years, I guess. So some of us have a chance to get together and see each other, but it'll be the first time that many or all of us will be together. So that's coming up on Sunday. We're very excited about that.
Very exciting. 50th anniversary.
Stop saying that.
I'm so sorry.
It makes us feel old.
Does it feel that long ago?
No, it was like yesterday. And people are still talking about the movie, and that's just amazing.
One of the guys mentioned that the movie premiered here actually 50 years ago. So to have it come full circle like this is amazing.
Do you have any fun memories on set with Walter Matthau, with each other? Any pranks that you all played?
Okay. Well, I mean, the whole experience was really a wonderful experience. I think looking back and just understanding more about the industry these days, it must have been such a blast for the crew members to be going to a park, and it's summer and we're playing ball and they're having a good time and they're making a living and they're going home and eating dinner with their family. It must have been a wonderful experience. But, you know, there were times where they filmed us actually playing very badly against the Yankees, who were playing much better than us. And they kept those flubs in the film. And, you know, it was...
This is history.
Yeah, this is history.
I remember there's one scene that I did with Walter Matthau where he asked me to go get hit by the ball again, and we had to have filmed that 20 times because Walter could not get through it. I would look up at him and he would burst out laughing. And I was thinking, well, here's one of the best comedic actors in the world. He thinks I'm funny. That's not bad.
Lastly, what does it mean to kind of represent the underdog? Everyone always talks about the Bad News Bears being the triumph of the underdog. How does that feel?
Well, you know, Paramount wasn't sure the way the script was written was going to go well with audiences, so they had us film an alternate ending where we actually win. It's in Paramount Vault somewhere. You remember that, Chris?
I do. We did that many, many times. Yeah. So, yeah. It was. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No. That was the story. But fortunately, the audience tested fine. They left it the way it was written, and it really needed to be that way because it was a moral victory, even though it wasn't a real victory.
I do want to say that the film has lasted 50 years because of people like the director Michael Ritchie, the cinematographer John Alonzo, Polly Platt, the production designer, and mostly Bill, and also very heavily Bill Lancaster, the writer. Great talents that sort of have made a very special movie.
What a collaboration it was.
One thing about your question.
Yeah.
And I did read that they wanted us to win, and Michael Ritchie fought for us not to win because what he said was, look, not everybody wins, but everybody tries. And I think that if we would have won, we wouldn't be here 50 years later. So to the brilliance of Michael Ritchie, I think you know, he was right.
Well said. Thank you all so much for. Oh, now I'm on camera over here. That's right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the festival and congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And like people really hoping you'll just
I am here with the legendary Leonard Maltin. It's so great to see you again. Hi.
Wonderful to see you again.
Now, I would love to get your take. What was your first experience watching Barefoot in the Park? What did you think?
Well, I saw it when it was new. I'm not old. and a very entertaining movie. I think I even saw the Broadway play. I saw several of Neil Simon's hit Broadway shows. And to sit in an audience and hear laughter like that, he was a master writer of comedy.
And for Barefoot in the Park, it really put Robert Redford on the map, obviously Jane Fonda as well. What do you think it is about his performance in the film that kind of took him to movie star status?
Well, you're not used to seeing a guy that handsome be funny. You know, willing to be lighthearted, willing to make even a little fun of himself. And he and Jane Fonda just clicked. And they're a great team. He and Jane Fonda made a great team. Helped by Charles Boyer and Mildred Natwick, you know, wonderful cast. And so it captures the show very well.
Do you have a favorite Robert Redford film?
Well, All the President's Men, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Candidate, go on and on and on. I liked him. I can't think of a film I really actively disliked that he made.
Everything he did was fantastic. Now, I have to say, you and your daughter, Jessie, you have a book. Is it currently out?
It's out, available. We'll sell you as many as you want to buy.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the book is about?
It's called Family Movie Night Menus. It's the TCM book, published by Running Press, and who did a beautiful job packaging it and designing it. It's recommendations of 25 family-friendly films that we encourage you to watch with your family, and then make snacks or meals that are inspired by the movie. And we had fun doing it. And it covers a broad swath of movies, from Charlie Chaplin to Harry Potter.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's so great to see you again. Thank you so much for stopping by.
My pleasure.
And enjoy the festival.
I sure will.
Coming up next, this weekend, the one and only Carol Burnett joins us for two special events. She'll be joining Club TCM to talk about her life and career, and she will also be screening Strangers on a Train tomorrow. So let's take a look at last year when she was on TCM. She shared some of her favorite classics, and let's watch that now.
So when you were a young girl, I know that you and your grandmother used to go to the movies together. Why was that such an important thing for the two of you, and how often would you go?
I was born in Texas, and the first time I remember we would go to the movies, I had to be 3 or 4 because my feet didn't touch the floor. We didn't have any money, really. So what pennies we had, we saved to escape. It was a depression. So we would go to the movies in Texas, and then we moved out to Hollywood. I lived a block north of Hollywood Boulevard. The movies were our escape. And everything worked in the movies. I mean, the good guys made it. The bad guys didn't. Nothing was cynical. And so I fell in love with Judy and Mickey, Betty Grable, Rita Hayworth, Lana Turner, of course, Jimmy Stewart. And later on, when I got my show, I got to know all of them and work.
We are back to trivia. Let's test your knowledge and see how you do. Number 4. Many of the opening scenes of Barefoot in the Park were shot on location at this famous hotel in New York City. Is it A, the Waldorf Astoria, B, the Plaza, C, the New York Marriott Marquis, or D, the St. Regis, New York? I'll give you a few more seconds. And the answer is B, the Plaza. Fun fact, this also serves as a centerpiece setting for another Neil Simon film, The Plaza Suite in 1971. Actually, I believe that was California Suite in 1971. Actually, with Jane Fonda. We're on to number 5. In Barefoot in the Park, how many flights of stairs did the newlyweds have to trek to reach their apartment? Is it A, 5, B, 15, C, 9, or D, 30? How many flights of stairs did the newlyweds have to trek to reach their apartment? And the answer is A, 5. 6, if you count the stoop, which some people mention in the film. And fun fact, Robert Redford also hated wearing suits and ties all day for his character. So between filming breaks, he would change into boots and his signature cowboy hat. And also in the French version of the film, they increased the number to 9 flights of stairs, since it's common for older buildings with 6 floors or less to have no elevator, so the audience would not find it as arduous. 5 flights is a lot for me, so, you know. And we are standing by. Oh, Diane Baker. Hello. It's so great to see you. I have cords everywhere. Welcome.
Cords.
Has she seen the film?
These two.
Yes. We are here. What are you most looking forward to this weekend at the TCM Classic Film Festival?
I'm looking forward to joy, connected experience with people who love what the movies had to say through the years, watching the choices and choosing the films I want to see that I haven't seen on the big screen. We don't get that opportunity, but I wish it compels me to want to buy a small theater. I can find an empty theater that's chained or has the windows boarded up and say, open it. Let's have movies again. Let's show movies. I am starting a nonprofit. It's been in the works now, and it's in honor of Robert Osborne. It's called the Robert Osborne Center for Film Studies. And I'm reaching out to mentors in the film industry who want to be hands-on. And I'm going to take 50 young people. They don't have to be so young. I have one that I want from American Indian who is now in North Carolina. Her brother was Cherokee Nation chief for a while. And she graduated from my school, and I talked her into, gave her a nudge to not just act, as she was already reaching 48 and 50 and had 2 grown kids. And I said, it's going to be hard for you to be an actor, so take film at Film Academy and write. So she's written, and she's back there on the reservation. And that's what I want this school to get. I want to get those kids who had loans from families and the government. They left the university, and 4 years later, I'm here, and they're driving Uber and Lyft. And I can't stand it. So I'm looking for those that I remember, that worked hard, they're passionate, that love movies, and I want to make sure that every single one of them gets a chance to have a history of films. I will have screenings during the weeks, weekends. I have Michael Goy involved, who is the president of ASC, who has Saturday night movies at his house in his garage. And he shows everything and discusses them. I've come across graduates who, I asked them if you've seen, do you know American in Paris? What? Who is? I said, Leslie Caron. Who is she? I said, you are just graduated from university and you're doing your thesis and you haven't know any of these movies? I said, you certainly won't get in to see Steven Spielberg. I've now collected all of Steven's favorite films. So I'm looking. I've got a library, one whole room filled with my collections of DVDs. I'm looking for what we can set up online, and it will be under that name, Robert Osborne Center for Film. And it's really meant to inform and let them see these films and know Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Do we have that today in our government? Do we have anyone who would stand up there and nearly fall down sick from speaking his mind, and then you change one person's mind? So I go to these events, and I come across Claude Rains' daughter, and I come across Rod Serling's daughter, I just came from an event, and she's across from me. And I'm getting to meet the people that were part of my growing up on television. So that's it for me. I love the work. I love helping young people learn and get them. I want to see the light.
I love it.
I want to see the light go on. I look around here and I see the light go on when I see Leonard Maltin, and I love him.
That's what makes this festival so unique.
And Kay Rhodey, who was an absolute wonderful human being, and his wife, and David, and did you know Claire Lockhart was with the Academy for years?
Yes.
She produced and directed a film about the closing of Off Vine, and it won #1 at the recent Independent Reel Film Festival here downtown. They showed it, and people kept calling in and wanting to see it more and more. And they had 3 screenings. No other film had it, and it won Best. And it's her first chance. First time. She's moved from being one of the girls that shows you around.
I mean, and that's what this festival is all about, uniting people who love movies.
You know who he is?
I do, yes. But we won't keep you.
No.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful chatting with you. Likewise. And I love that you're so passionate about educating people on film.
That's TCM. 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 All the great people at TCM. There's one of them.
Thank you so much.
I think one over here by on this side. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Good Jenny's, everyone.
You need to let somebody else play. Look at the camera. We are. Yes, hello.
Ready? We are here with actor Kevin Pollak. What a delight this is. It's so great to see you.
It must be. I mean, you too. No, this is a great festival, and it's an honor to be invited.
What are you most looking forward to this weekend at the TCM Classic Film Festival?
Well, tomorrow night there's a 30th anniversary screening of Tom Hanks' directorial debut of That Thing You Do, and I'll be part of the Q&A afterwards. I look forward to that a great deal.
Now, have you ever seen Barefoot in the Park, which is what's happening tonight?
Yes, I'm old, so I saw it in the theater.
What'd you think?
It's great. Yeah, no, it's an all-time classic.
I would love to know, what is a movie that you put on, your comfort movie? You could have it on in the background, but you relax. You've probably seen it 100 times.
I mean, there's so many of those, but Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, for me, is going to rank right up there. The Graduate is another one. I mean, I'm old again, so the list is very long, yeah.
And do you have a favorite besides Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Do you have a favorite Robert Redford film?
Yeah, I think All the President's Men. I think actually Downhill Racer. It's hard to pick a film that he was in that isn't much beloved. So
The Sting.
The Sting was too obvious, but yes, definitely Academy Award winning The Sting.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jane Fonda will be here tonight. If you could ask her anything, what would you ask her? What are you hoping that she's going to talk about tonight at the screening?
I would ask her what she's doing for dinner tomorrow night. And if she'd be talking about me tomorrow at the screening.
Well, it's so nice to talk with you. Enjoy the festival. Thank you.
Alexander Payne, great to see you. What am I doing here? What are you doing here, man? Who invited you?
Yeah, thanks. All kidding aside, no matter what else is going on in my life, I make room now for the Turner Classic Movie Film Festival. And I'm not kind of a self-promoter kind of guy, but they are showing my first feature,
Citizen Ruth.
Citizen Ruth, which I'm
30 years.
I'm both horrified that it's been 30 years and very pleased that it's getting seen.
So we have 5 TCM hosts, Alexander, right? And they make some effort to try to be give everybody a shot at the things they want to do. What interests you? There were 5 hosts who put in for Citizen Ruth.
That's so nice, and
Yeah.
Alicia got it.
Alicia
got it.
I don't know, why? Why? What did
don't
Alicia
know.
do? No, I mean, but it's a sign of one, the impact that movie has, knowing that you were going to be here and talk about it.
And Laura Dern. Let's not forget,
Oh,
Laura Dern is putting off travel to go shoot her new White Lotus series by a day so she can be here. And she's now, as you know, in the legendary phase of her career.
She's in the legendary phase of her career?
Actors, if they,
Right.
are around long enough, a la Chinatown,
Laura, right? Yeah, were you at her mom's memorial service?
I was not.
I figured you were.
No, I was.
you were working?
I've been shooting
Yeah.
in Denmark, but yeah.
So it's hard to.
Did you go?
I went.
Oh,
It was
wow.
it was so beautiful. It was so lovely. It was it opened with Diane saying, "Well, I'm gone."
Yeah.
Right. It was. Yeah, it was really moving. It was really sweet. Okay, give me your last one, and I'll let you go. Give us a story. I know that you probably had a lot of them. Give us a story of what TCM means to you. You keep showing up for us. Obviously, this channel matters to you. Why?
It's almost as though all of the history of the universe has been leading us toward Turner Classic Movies. That's how I feel about Turner Classic Movies.
How often do you have it on in your home?
When I'm in the United States, all the time, and if I am going to leave I'm still old-fashioned, so I TiVo or
Yeah.
DVR things. So I have to check out what's going to be on for the next 2 weeks to set my timer. And
I love it. I love it how that's now old-fashioned. I mean, when
I
that
know,
came out, it was
I
only
know.
like 20 years ago. It seemed like the greatest thing that had
I
ever
know,
happened.
I know.
And by the way, we should still say TiVo. TiVo should be the word. It was a great word. Great word.
Yeah.
DVR.
Laser discs.
Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Alexander,
Good.
thanks for being here.
Hope
Thanks.
to see you
Thanks for-
around.
thank
Thanks for the interest as always.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I am here with one of my heroes, Dana Delaney. It's so great to meet you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I would love to. You have played so many iconic female characters who are strong and empowered, and obviously Jane Fonda has played those as well.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite Jane Fonda role from over the years?
There's so many, and there's so many different eras of Jane. I love the 1960s Jane. I love the hair, the best hair ever. I love all of that when she was doing comedies like Sunday in New York, but a little bit off. Like she would be funny, but there was something a little bit off about her, which made it more interesting. I like Barbarella.
Oh, Barbarella.
I mean, I would wear those outfits.
Yeah.
But then when she did They Shoot Horses, Don't They? It was a whole nother Jane, and then it was a whole nother career. So she just, and then there's the, the nuclear one she did with Michael, that one. What's that one called?
The nuclear one?
Yes.
Coming Home?
No, that Coming Home was another
Coming
good
Home.
one. The
There are so
70s
many.
era. Yeah.
There Clued, Coming Home.
Clued, my God, Clued. Yes,
Right,
yes.
exactly. She really proved in that era that she was a serious dramatic actress.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, she can do it. And now she's doing great things for the world, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. What are you most looking forward to this weekend at the film festival?
I love these people because everybody just cares about old movies and they understand that this is our cultural heritage. It's so important to preserve this and take care of it. And now with all these mergers going on, I worry. I worry about Warner Brothers. I worry about the Warner Brothers archives, which I was lucky to go to this year. Somebody has to preserve this stuff. This is America did this, I mean, the French started it, but we finished it.
What is it about the movies that we can encourage younger people to come have this communal experience?
I mean, here at the festival?
At the festival, I guess movies in general. Yeah.
Well, during the pandemic, my pod was with a 15-year-old, and so he would sit and watch these TCM movies with us. He loved them. He just has to be introduced to them. He loved them. He's so knowledgeable about classic movies now. And now that he's in college at Tufts, he's turning everybody there on to them. And he's kind of like, amazed, you don't know this movie,
And my last question is, what would be a movie that you would wish that you could watch the first time again? There's so many, I know.
Well, my favorite movie of all time is In a Lonely Place. Nick Ray and Humphrey Bogart and Gloria Graham. And I remember I first saw it when I was in high school, and I thought, oh my God, this is, and I'd never been to Hollywood, and I thought, this is the real Hollywood. And it is. He was completely right.
Well, it was so great chatting with you. We won't take up much of your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
So I don't think I was lying. As I walked down the red carpet and everybody asked me about tonight, I said that basically when we reached out to you, you basically were like, when we'd like to be here to honor, you were like, yeah, I'm in.
Of course.
Yeah. Why?
Well, he was always my, except for Lily Tomlin, he was always my favorite co-star. I absolutely adored him, and I bow down to him for what he did for movies. I mean, I'll go anywhere to honor him.
Your first movie together, The Chase?
The Chase.
Yeah.
This one.
Barefoot in the Park.
Barefoot in the Park.
Yeah.
Electric Horseman and Our Souls at Night.
Four movies. So what drew you to him, like in The Chase? Had you met him before, or did you meet him when you got to work on The Chase?
Met him when we got to work on The Chase.
What struck you early on as special about him?
I just remember walking down the corridor in Paramount of the administration building, and every secretary had her head out the door watching him walk. I thought, he's going to be a big star.
This guy's. He knew how handsome he was, right? I always felt like he was trying his whole career to make sure that that's not the only way people saw him.
I think he was happy that he was beautiful.
Sure, yeah.
Because it really helped. But he hated the kind of attention that it brought him. It made him very uncomfortable. He was basically quite a modest, he was very modest, and he liked to be alone in the country.
I'll let you go, but I maybe he's not underrated anymore since he passed away. But I always thought that because he was so handsome, that this was like one of the greatest actors who ever lived. And just watching him on the phone could be taught in acting classes.
Yeah, he was a wonderful actor, and I agree with you. I think he was underrated as an actor. But I think that he will go down in history because of what he did to film. And that is about to be lost to us.
Not every star whose friend has passed away would show up on a night like this.
They would.
No, they wouldn't. No, I want to tell you,
Bob Redford.
It's a big deal. I know, but it's a big deal that you're here to honor him, and it's going to make this night special. And I'm really enormously grateful. We all are for you coming.
I'm glad I was asked.
Huh? What? It's TCM. Oh, so I have to ask.
My favorite ex-husband created Turner Classic Movies. That was Ted Turner.
You were married to Ted Turner?
I was.
I didn't know that. It's amazing.
Yes.
When? Okay, so yeah, Ted. We honored Ted here 7 years ago. It was a great, great night, and he said what I'm sure he said a lot, which is his two things that professionally he's most proud of was CNN and Turner Classic Movies. Yeah,
he really was.
Yeah, he did a good thing with TCM.
On our very first date, he talked to me all about Turner Classic Movies.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I do think it was one of the great things that he did.
In this world we live in today, why do we need TCM now?
Oh. We need to know what it used to be like. We need to know what the greats were like. The great directors, the great actresses, the great actors. We want to see how people used to behave. I know a young girl who came from a very, very disadvantaged background, and she learned manners and how to behave from TCM.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty nice legacy.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful legacy. Jane Fonda, I can't wait to talk to you inside. Thank you so much.
I'll see you inside.
Jane Fonda,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I am here with Mario Van Peebles. It's so great to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What are you most looking forward to this weekend at the festival?
Yeah, what I think I like about this festival right here in Hollywood is it doesn't just celebrate the future, it also rewards the past. And if you don't know where you were cinematically, it's hard to know where you're going, especially when movies were made by real people You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, there's real people. There's no AI, no CGI. It's just real folk. I think that movies have the power to make us fall in love with people who wouldn't look like us, wouldn't vote like us, and act like us. And so when you can do that and you can transport someone else and take them inside a different world, that's very powerful. And I've always loved that. And when I did my movie Badass, where I played my father when he made his film Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. And we took it to Sundance to play it. And Robert Redford came over to my father. And my dad and he were talking, and my dad pointed to me and he introduced me. He said, "This is Mario, he's my annuity." And Robert Redford said, no, he's your continuity. Oh. And I thought that was very elegant.
Wow.
And I think right now, when you say what's important about this film festival, it's also that at a day like today, when the Supreme Court, is gutting the Voting Rights Act, to remember people like Robert Redford and Jane Fonda, who's hopefully going to speak, and Melvin Van Peebles, who are not afraid as artists to speak out and say we can have a point of view. And that's important. It took America of all colors to build this country. And it takes us, and America's built on capitalism and democracy, so you got to be a part of having a business of some sort, hopefully, and hopefully being able to vote. And today that was put in peril, and I hope that Jane will address it. So I'm here to honor that, to see these movies with Jane Fonda and Robert Redford, bring my old school Hollywood elegance to it. That's why I was like, clearly, I was like, get the hat on, get the pinstripes rocking. Thank you. And see a great film and hear some smart people talk about how we protect this lovely democracy that we have. There you go. How's that for a long, short answer?
No, that's beautiful and so well said. I would love to know, who were your inspirations growing up besides your dad? Who inspired you to do what you do?
Probably my mom, too. My mother was a fun, hippie chick, very free, very open. We traveled all over, and so we lived in Copenhagen and Denmark and Morocco, and I saw culture as a choice. So it was like here in this country they do that, here and over here they do that. So when I got to America and things were sort of a little bit more reductive culturally, I saw it as a choice and not a have to, but as a could. And so you could sort of go, I like that from this one, and that's from that one, and that from that one. And when your family is blended, and you can look around and say, I've got a Trumper over there, and I've got black over there, and gay over there, and straight over there, and white, then you've got to love the whole human family. And I think as a filmmaker, I think that affected me in that I like to paint with all the colors, without limitations. And you can't lead people if you don't love them, and you can't know them if you can't know them. If you got to know them to love them, and to love them to get to know them. And I think film can help do that. Yeah.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for stopping by. Enjoy the festival.
Yeah. Great. You look wonderful. Bye-bye, you guys.
Bye. Yes.
Hello.
Hello, Spock.
Oh, right on. You know that.
I do. It's great to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Ethan Peck.
Hello.
And grandson of Gregory Peck.
How about that?
Yes.
I've been saying over the course of these interviews, I was just here this week, and whenever I come here, I marvel at the fact that his handprints are there and his footprints. I texted my father and I said, "Can you believe these are here?" And he said the 3 dots there. So there are 3 dots just below, I think, where he signed his name. And there used to be a dime and 2 pennies for 12 O'Clock High because he had just finished. That had just premiered, I think.
Wow.
They're no longer there, of course, but that was news to me, and I just thought a wonderful little bit of information.
I saw that you mentioned once that you never talked to him, obviously, about your acting and things like that.
No, not too much, unfortunately.
Yeah. What would you ask him if you could now, or what kind of advice would you want?
That's a great question. Again, to bring my father into it, we had lunch yesterday, and I said, how did he choose what he did? Because my father was explaining to me that he was in Europe for a couple of years, just doing multiple films in a row. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And so his representation at the time, I think, really guided him well. And so he got that one role that kind of made casting and producers, directors, writers sort of see him as available to all these other roles. And so I think he just made one good choice. I'm not sure which that sort of linchpin film was, but I'll have to go back to my father and figure that out.
I love that.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to this weekend at the festival?
Tonight, my buddy's coming. He's here, and he actually wrote for Grace and Frankie.
Oh, no way.
With Jane, and they're pals, and so we're going to connect with Jane a little bit later. Apparently, I just missed her. She walked by. and I can't wait to see Best Years of Our Lives on the big screen. I'm absolutely thrilled for that. And Captain Blood and Notorious. And I'm seeing Arabesque for the first time, my grandfather's film, who I'm helping to introduce on Sunday at 5:30.
Oh, how does that feel?
It feels really exciting and kind of nerve-wracking. Like I've never really done anything like that, so it's the reason I made to get an excuse to be let into this thing. So that's why I'm here. Yeah.
And lastly, what's next for Spock? Can you tell people?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, season 4 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds is airing on Paramount Plus on July 23rd, where you can see the adventures of the Enterprise, helmed by Captain Kirk, is played by Anson Mount, and Mr. Spock will be dealing with his emotions and his Vulcanness. That they make a very complicated pair within himself, and maybe there'll be some more heartbreaks, some more big emotional moments that make him want to be even less human and more like Nimoy's Spock that we see in the original series. So that's kind of the idea.
Love it.
Yeah.
We can't wait.
Me too.
Yeah, it's so great chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
So tell us the movie you're going to introduce it.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been so much fun. It's time for me to go inside with the rest of the moviegoers, but stay tuned on the live for bonus content from the TCM archives as we look at TCM host Ben Mankiewicz's Fest conversation with Michael Douglas.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to Live from the TCM Classic Film Festival. This is an actor I've wanted to talk to and get to know for a very long time because he had to emerge from the considerable shadow of his father. And not only did he emerge from it, but he has thrived. And as many of you know, he produced what would be on any top 10 list that I would ever make of the greatest movies of all time, an Academy Award winner for producing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's a Best Actor Oscar winner for Wall Street. There is very little that Michael Douglas can't do. I am thrilled to be able to talk to him here in front of you good people today. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Douglas.
Hey. Oh, thank you. Oh, this is comfortable. Really, you guys really treat us nice here.
We went all out on the chairs. All right, so Michael, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Ben.
So I presumed, because you were Kirk Douglas's son, that you grew up the son of Hollywood royalty in Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, somewhere. That's not the case.
That is definitely not the case. No, my mother, Diana, was an actress, and she went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, the same school that my father did. My mother's British, English, from the island of Bermuda, grew up. And I guess sort of opposites attract. My mother had sort of a kind of a royal demeanor about her, spoke with an accent. Kirk, Russian Jew, peasant, and all of that. So they got together actually right after drama school, and as young actors were living in Greenwich Village in New York. And then through Lauren Bacall's help, Dad got out to California for an acting opportunity. We all went out as a family. I think we were only there about a year. Let's just say Dad was having a good time out in California. My mother said, you know, maybe it's time to head back east. So they separated. I was about 4, and so we went back to New York City and lived a pretty solid middle-class life, but very fortunate that my mother and father had a very amenable divorce. I remember the first time he came back to visit us, and he gave my mother a kiss hello, and Dad always tells me, and I sort of broke down and crying, only because of the release of tension. And I was very fortunate to grow up with them, and they respectively got remarried in a very comfortable relationship.
So that breakdown of crying and that release of tension was because previously them together had become combative in the house. It was tense.
There was a reason they split up. Yeah. And so I eventually lived in New York City, and then my mother remarried when I was 12 to a wonderful guy. Bill Derrett was my stepfather. They moved to Connecticut. And to this day, he looks to Bill Derrett as sort of my surrogate father, because he began his career. He's made 90 movies. Those are the days when they were doing 5 movies a year. All the time he was busy. If we visited him, it was usually on a location for a movie that he was doing. And so as my male influence, I relied a lot on my stepfather, Bill. And then I'm fortunate enough to say that my mother, Diana, and Bill, and my father, Kirk, and his wife, Ann, of 65 years, became best friends. So I always advocate step-parents. We all see the movies about the wicked old step-parents and this and that. I'm very blessed and fortunate to have a great stepfather, a great stepmother, and no major conflict or stress between my parents.
The stress was the marriage, not the post-marriage. They were good.
Post-marriage, they were great, wonderful friends. I lost my mother this last year, but right up till the end, they were best of friends.
And your mother, despite whatever anger she'd had at your father, she did not want to deprive you from seeing him. In the summers, you would come out to Los Angeles.
No question, she thought it was important to share with my father. We come out to Los Angeles, but they used to have a house in Palm Springs. So whether it was summer or Christmas holidays, we used to go out there. Because part of Dad's issues were that he never really got a lot of support from his father.
Yeah.
And so he was upset about the divorce in terms of feeling guilty about his responsibility of a father. So he was always sort of searching or reaching out for ways to make us close, although he didn't see us that much. But it was a wonderful opportunity for us growing up, because there's not many businesses where as a kid you can watch what your father does for a living. Visiting movie locations and all over the world was a great experience, not only for understanding about the filmmaking process, but it's very exciting being on a set.
Before I get to you as a kid being on the set, there was very little that Kirk Douglas couldn't do on screen, right?
Very little.
That guy could get on a horse.
He was the father of developing the tiny trampoline. The little tiny trampoline, which he learned from a certain angle of horses. So when you ran up to the horse, boom, you hit that trampoline and pow, you were right there, on the horse. So that was one of his great secrets. And I remember the first time, wow, how did you shoot with foot over the top and everything else? A little trampoline down there.
What's amazing is that, even being in this business, that did not occur to me. And yet, here I was watching some Kirk Douglas movies to prepare to talk to you, and I'm like, God, he is getting up high.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, he was cheating. It's the movies. It's all cheating.
But other things you can't cheat on. His gun handling.
No,
his ability to handle guns, put in the holster, all that stuff, came from just practice.
He was athletic.
Practice.
Yeah.
One of his earliest movies was a movie called The Juggler. He learned to juggle. He's going to be 101 in December. He's 109, He's completely inspirational. And of course, when you finally reach an age when you're not feeling like you have to compete with your father, when you can look at him, and of course, it took me till I was 60. But when you can look at him and just go, wow, what a career. What a man. Talk about those people who served in World War II, and what he's seen in his lifetime is quite incredible.
Yeah. So you say you come out to Palm Springs, and then obviously you come into Hollywood, you're coming into sets, you're watching your dad work. What do you remember from visiting movie sets and watching your dad work?
Well, the thing about Palm Springs, which comes to mind socially, is that my father now is becoming a star, and they're socializing with other actors and stars. Dean Martin was a dear friend of theirs. Liberace was my first memory of ever seeing Liberace was with Dad in Palm Springs. He was driving his Rolls Royce, and they stopped to say hello, and I was blinded. The sun was going down and hitting his gold thing. I remember, who is that? But The town was much tighter then. This is before so much location movies were going on, or before so many other places started shooting films. And you saw the foibles of these people, you saw the vulnerability of these people, and in hindsight, this is the biggest advantage of being second generation, about how you handle your life just by being able to watch your family growing up and the experiences that they had. But visiting them on the set, I was able, as I got a little older, to work on as a summer job as a gopher on a movie called Cast a Giant Shadow in Israel, an experience there. I worked on a movie in Norway. The Heroes of Telemark was that. So these are all areas which you sort of took for granted. It was an opportunity to obviously bond with your father. But in hindsight, once you started your career, you realized it gave you a little familiarity with things. Sort of took the magic, out of it. But I think it's allowed me to be more grounded in how I've conducted my life by seeing how they conducted theirs.
Did you ever visit the set of The Bad and the Beautiful?
I visited the set the day that Dad was doing a love scene with Lana Turner. And I walked in, the lights were dark, and I walked in quietly, and I was watching, and Dad was making out big time. He pulled away and he saw me next to the camera, and he just went. I said, so I hid behind the back, and we continued.
Yeah, seeing your 9-year-old son while you're making out with Lana Turner is not...
doesn't help you.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. You went to UCSB, University of California, Santa Barbara, right?
Yes.
Was it there, or was it earlier where you thought, you know what, acting, directing, show business, this might be something I could do?
Yeah, no, it was at UC Santa Barbara, and I loved the school, but I went there in 1963, and I became a hippie. I was a hippie, had a lot of fun, and about my third year, I got a request to go see the assistant chancellor, and I wasn't sure. I went in and said, Michael, I said, yeah, you got to choose a major, huh? And I hadn't thought a lot about it. Oh, man, far out. Oh, major, man. So I thought about it for 5 minutes, and I said, well, my mom's an actress, and I spent time with her in the theater and backstage, and of course, Dad was an actor. So I thought theater would be the easiest course, I could think of, but I started doing it, and Dad will tell you, I was terrible. I mean, I remember Dad coming, my first show was a Much Ado About Nothing, and I was a messenger, and as would have it, the director had designed where the messenger speech ran down the aisles to give his message, and I had to stop right by my father's seat. And I learned, they showed me how to stand, kind of, my lord, I said, my lord. And then I went, and I ran up the aisle, and everybody said, what did he say? What did he say? What did he say? And then Dad came back and said, Michael, you were terrible. You were absolutely terrible. And he says that he was so relieved. He says, thank God I don't have to worry about my son going into this business, with the degree of rejection that's there and all of that. I had terrible stage fright. I used to act, I had a wastebasket off stage, and I would puke in it every time I was about to go on. And I don't know why, I just used to keep fighting it. I'm gonna get there, and I guess subliminally, I want to prove it. And so finally, a couple of years later, Dad came back, and he was wonderful. As busy as his career, he saw most all of my shows, and he said, you're okay. You were good.
And by the end, by I guess your senior year or junior year, you won like the outstanding performer director. I don't know what they called it, but
yeah.
You were recognized by your peers there as being the best student in the theater.
I was.
Yeah.
I was, which was nice. I can't say it was any more relaxing inside, but early on, someone said to me, the camera can tell when you're lying. Ooh, the camera knows when you're lying. And I hate to tell you how late it was. I was thinking about it, but I think it was Fatal Attraction. And I said, okay, what's my character? I said, okay, he's a lawyer in New York. I said, okay, yeah, I could be that. Somebody who committed adultery. I could possibly, I could possibly be that. And then I said, wait a minute. I mean, what character? This is me. And then you realize there's sort of two ways to look at parts. There's either character parts, which symbolically you're putting on makeup and making a mask and a character and this and that. And then there's parts which are actually the toughest, and Dad told me that, where you have to be yourself, where you're basically like taking the makeup off as raw as you can be. And then I said, wait a minute, I lie every day. I mean, we all lie sometimes. You all look at somebody and you lie to your kids, and you lie, you know. And then that totally freed me up, Ben,
Really?
for the first time. If only I looked at the camera then and I realized it's okay, and I get another take. You know, you can't say that about life. You know, all right, let's stop. Let's do another take.
Right. What was your first feature film? You'd already done some stuff on television, right? You'd done some like made-for-TV.
I did a CBS Playhouse, which I kind of got discovered, and that turned out well. And then I got under contract to CBS Films at that time, and I made a movie called Hail Hero, which, don't worry, guys, nobody's gonna find that one anywhere around. So they didn't work out, those first couple of films. I fell into series, FBI, Medical Center, and then Quinn Martin, who was a big-time television producer at that time, he got in a lawsuit with ABC. He won, and he got a guarantee of a 2-hour pilot movie and 26-hour episodes of a television series. And he decided to do this series called Streets of San Francisco. And my agents did everything advised, since my movie career was going nowhere, that maybe this would be a good idea, and it was a tremendous experience.
Who were you? Who was your co-star?
Carl Malden, my mentor. Thank you. Carl was just an extraordinary guy. Gary, Indiana Steel Mills gave me a tremendous work ethic. And very early on in the show, I was the second banana in soft focus, usually about 2 steps behind Carl. And couldn't have been the second year. He said, come on, buddy.
So he looked out for you.
He really looked out for me. And his discipline, whenever we got our script for that week, contractually, he would get next week's script. So between times when we were shooting, we would go together and work on the next week's script. And as a result, our scripts were like 8 pages longer than the average script because we picked up our cues. We just, we had a pace. And as a result, the word got out for guest stars and or directors. You did Streets of San Francisco, you better have your act together because these guys are tight. As a result of that, Ben, all those scripts of prologue, 3 acts, epilogue, year after year, I learned a tremendous amount about structure and characterizations and all of that, so that when I evolved into wanting and my big desire to produce One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and when I finally was able to get it all together to produce in what would have been my 5th year on the series, I went to Carl and to Quinn Martin and asked them if they'd let me out of my show.
Nobody let anybody out of a contract. This was a successful show.
Huge. I came to them and I said, because they'd heard about Cuckoo's Nest and trying to get it done, and I said, I've got it together and I'd like to get out. And both Quinn Martin and Carl Malden said, you got it. You did a great job. We know about it. You're out.
Quinn Martin's a big-time producer. He would be able to do other shows. For Carl Malden to bless your departure, Carl Malden wasn't getting any more movie roles. He was finally a guy who'd been a supporting actor and maybe the best one ever for years. He was getting a chance to star. And now his co-star, and it was your chemistry that made the show. You're saying, I want to leave. For him to bless it, that was quite a sacrifice. That was quite a thing.
It was. I mean, I get a little emotional about it now. He was that kind of guy. He was that kind of guy. But it was an incredible moment when he said, and as you know, that people just don't do that.
Yeah. So before we get into Cuckoo's Nest, it has a backstory that really must be told that relates to your dynamic with your father. You weren't the first Douglas to discover Ken Kesey's book. Tell people what your dad first did with the story.
Well, my father had a you know, very successful production company. Spartacus was one of the movies he's produced, a lot of pictures. His company found in galleys this book called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey, and they optioned it. And my father had the book adapted into a play. And his intention was do this as a play. It's a great piece of material. And then I'll bring it out and make it as a movie. And so he went back, and this is right after Spartacus. And the play didn't work, you know? And he came back, and then he started trying to put this together as a movie. But it was not a successful play. Meanwhile, I'm in college. I have a class in 20th century American classic literature, and there is Ken Kesey's novel, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is a great read. In that period of time, there's now become off-Broadway productions of the play, both in San Francisco and in New York. It's become kind of an undercurrent off-Broadway productions.
But still versions of the play that your father had optioned. That's correct.
Yes. Yeah. I've graduated. I've done my CBS film things and sort of, you know, falling into episodic television. And I hear from my dad that he's selling the property. And I say, please, Dad, don't sell a project, or let me take it over and run it. It's a great project. So let me take it and run with it, and I'll try to get it set up as a production and for you to play the part and in that. And Dad says, yeah, okay, great. You know, go, give the kid something to, you know, something to do.
Right, your dad's been busting his ass trying to do this. He knows you're not going to do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but, you know, keep him occupied for a little while. Now, here's where Kirk and my story digress. On his version, yeah, sure, Michael gets the project, takes a year, sets it all up, and doesn't cast me in the part, right? And if he's here right now, but he becomes the first thing you want to tell you. And he does it with a degree of humor, but you kind of go, you know, it's a little... My version is that I started before I started Streets of San Francisco, so I basically worked about 5 years on it, looked through his files of people that were interested and available, finally found my partner, Saul Zaentz, and when we get our director, Milos Forman, it's, you know, from the time that Dad is, what, 20 years since Dad did the play on Broadway, his career has changed a little bit, and our director, Milos Forman, says, well, you know, Kirk, he's a little older for the part. I said, yeah. Dad's version is, I rejected him. I said, when did the producer have casting control? Dad, it was your director. So, as it's all turned out, we know the end results. I like to tease my father because I gave him, or he gave me the project. I gave him half of our producing deal, and he made more money off that movie than any movie he ever made in his career.
The casting of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is so critical, and you and Milos worked together on that, correct? Milos wanted Burt Reynolds. He had a Burt Reynolds fascination.
Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando turned the part down. And then Milos went back, he said, yeah. He said, Burt Reynolds. I said, Burt Reynolds? He said, yeah, Burt Reynolds. He has cheap charisma. Cheap charisma, which R.P. McMurphy, the character's got to have.
That's cheap charisma?
Cheap charisma is how he described it, he said. And then we had another director that we had looked at one time who really wanted to do it was Hal Ashby. Right. Hal had just finished a movie called The Last Detail with Jack Nicholson. And I know it's hard to imagine now because how Jack was iconic role of his life in McMurphy. But before that, Jack was sort of the sensitive young man, sort of a little of the intellect in Easy Rider in the back, 5 Easy Pieces, great roles. But nobody had seen The Last Detail, where Jack played a career Navy guy and had that kind of weight and size and presence that McMurphy had to have. And Jack really, really wanted to play the part. He wanted to play it with a big beard, You know, again, I understand to help him with his sense of size and girth. That was one of the big fights, you know. But he was great with a 29-year-old producer telling Jack, shave the beard off.
You and Nicholson are great friends now, have been for a long time. Were you friends then, or were you?
No, we kind of met each other on that, and it's amazing how success breeds a company. I mean, you're always good friends with somebody you have a big hit with. You know? It's like, and so the casting became crucial, you're right. And we had to wait for Jack. We were ready to go, but we had to wait like 6 months for another picture that he had taken while we were getting together. And during that time, we had a long casting process. We got to see so many actors, and we sort of set up these group therapy sessions, you know, all the different parts in the group therapy sessions, and we would have like 6 group therapies out of LA, 6 out of like New York. And we basically honed them down to like, you know, 3, then 2. Danny DeVito, who is doing the off-Broadway play of Cuckoo's Nest, playing the part of Martini, was the first person actually cast. And then we finally had that final group where we brought both coasts for that final group. And they were fantastic. You know, we couldn't have been happier. And we get up there before the movie starts to do some, you know, get them in touch with the mental hospital.
Up in Oregon, you shot on location
Oregon State Mental Hospital. And Dr. Brooks, the dean, Dean Brooks, who played the doctor in the movie, he helped us reading the script to put the actors in connection with patients. Jack arrived late as he's finishing the picture. So Jack comes on up, doesn't know anybody. And let me just tell you, these guys were into character, right? Every one of them, they were like, they were, you know. So we spent the first morning with him, you know, and he's acting, feeling his way out. We break for lunch, and I watch him, he's looking around, he's watching around. I see he puts his tray, throws his tray down, and runs, he walks outside quickly. I said, uh-oh, we got a problem with our star. So I go out and I said, Jack, what, you know, what is it? You okay, man? You okay? He said, who are these guys? Who are they? He didn't, nobody was well known or anything. Who are these guys? Nobody, they don't stop, you know? So he knew we were in for a good ride.
How about it, you creeps, you lunatics, mental defectives? Let's hear it for Bull Goose Randall back in action. Nice shirt, Chesaroo.
Will Sampson, who played the Chief.
That's a great story.
How'd you find the Chief?
I was going back from LA to New York, and I sit next to a guy named Mel Lambert. Mel Lambert Motors. He had a used car dealership, and his father was an Indian agent, and most of the Indians would buy used cars from Mel Lambert because they knew they could trust him. So I said, listen, you know, here's the problem. We're looking for an Indian for this picture.
You just sit next to this guy on the plane?
Just sitting next to this guy. So I can't believe it. So we got a movie I'm back here casting for. We're having a really tough time finding this Indian, you know, to play this role. So so I forgot about it. 6 months later, my office called, you know, my secretary rings me and said, there's a man named Mel Lambert on the phone. Mel Lambert. I said, yes, Mel Lambert Motors. Yeah, no, I remember, yeah. Mel, how are you? Yeah, Michael, I'm good, yeah. Listen, Michael, the biggest son of a bitch Indian walked in here the other day, man. I just thought of you, and you got to see him. I said, okay. So we were flying up to Salem, Oregon, and we brought Jack with us to audition Dr. Brooks, the head of the hospital, playing the part of the doctor in the movie. And we coordinated to meet Will Sampson, who was a forest ranger in Yakima, Washington, to meet us at the Portland airport, where we then were going to say hello. He was going to turn around and go back, and we were going to take a little plane down to Salem. So we're waiting at the gate, and out comes, with his cowboy boots on and his hat, 7 feet tall Will Sampson. Jack goes, Chief, oh my God, oh my God. It's the big chief, it's the chief. Oh my God, can he talk? Wait a minute, he doesn't have to talk. That's right, he doesn't have to talk. So originally it was gonna be, we were just gonna turn him around and go back. We fell in love with him. So come on down to Salem with us. So we were in a little tiny, you know, 4-seater twin engine Piper and trying to get in. So it ended up with Will, he was huge. So Will sitting in the front seat, and Jack was on his lap. You know, Jack couldn't. I kept looking at him. I can't believe it. It's the chief, man. It's the chief. You know.
So you saw him. You sort of knew we don't have to. This is it. We're done. This search is over.
But historically, casting, huh?
They all think you're deaf and dumb. Jesus Christ. You fooled them, Chief. You fooled them. You fooled them all.
Briefly, we should mention Nurse Ratched.
Yeah, so
Milos saw this Bob Altman film, which Louise Fletcher was in, and a scene, and she came in, and well, she was perfect. She won an Oscar too.
She read for it, and like right then, you thought, we're done.
She had a tremendous size about her. She had this very, you know, her parents were deaf.
Right.
And this very small, quiet voice. And, you know, so it was the perfect way to go. All the presence and everything else. There's deadly ice blue eyes and this quiet voice.
Will you please turn the television set on?
Mr. McMurphy, the meeting was adjourned and the vote was closed.
But the vote was 10-8. The chief, he's got his hand up, look.
No, Mr. McMurphy. When the meeting was adjourned, the vote was 9-9.
Oh, come on. You're not gonna say that now. You're not gonna say that now. You're gonna pull that henhouse shit now when the vote the chief just voted it was 10-9. Now, I want that television set turned on right now!
You don't need your chair. What you need is a mop.
How many Oscars did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest win, and which ones?
It won 5. It won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Screenplay. The big 5. Thank you. But we've been nominated for 9, and I had to literally break Jack's arm to go because he had lost now 3 times, I think, already. He'd lost 3 times, and he said, I'm Mikey D. Mikey, I'm not going Mikey D. I was just like, I can't.
Mikey D? That's what he's
called?
called?
They call him Mikey D. Mikey D. So we lost the first 4. We lost our first 4 categories up there. He's sitting in the row in front of him. Mikey D, I told you, Mikey D, this is not going to be good. And then we got the streak, so it was...
yeah, he won the last 5.
Right. And in the excitement afterwards, I remember turning to Milos and saying, you know, well, it's all downhill from here. It's all downhill from here, and to Saul. And just to acknowledge them, Saul, who we lost a couple of years ago, went on to win an Oscar for Best Picture for Amadeus, and he went on the decade after that to win an Oscar for The English Patient. Milos, too, I think around Amadeus time, Milos, Mikey D, no, it's not all downhill, Mikey D, it's not all downhill.
I would imagine, and did you think that you win an Oscar, Best Picture, you put it together, you cast this movie, that then things would somehow, that the doors of Hollywood would open up, and then you get this script for the China Syndrome, it gets just mailed to you, it just arrives in the mail. But the doors didn't really open up. It still was tough to get a movie made.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. They, first of all, the whole reaction says, why do you want to act? I said, what? Well, you got an Oscar, you won the Academy Award for Best Picture, why do you want to act? I said, well, I like acting. You know, I think I got something, I have something to offer.
And one of the reasons why is so surprising to me now, it's going to be surprising to all these people out here, they didn't see you as a romantic lead. Like somehow that, Michael Douglas is not. That
was a lot of it, and also was the prejudice against television.
Right.
Have you ever done television, they saw you for nothing. They didn't pay anything to see you. Whereas in a movie, you have to pay to see an actor or star. And then, yes, I'm sure there was a lot of other reasons that, thank God, I don't know about. You know? Yeah, no, there was it was hard picking. So getting back to the China Syndrome, I love the project, but it had Jack Lemmon, and eventually it was going to be originally Richard Dreyfuss.
In the Jane Fonda role.
In the Jane Fonda role. We wrote for Jane Fonda. So I was like the 3rd lead, and that was how I could swing it.
You could get yourself into your movie.
Yeah.
As the 3rd lead.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's great.
Wait a minute, who the hell is that?
This is my cameraman, Richard Adams. It's all right.
For Christ's
Mr.
sake.
Goodell, you lied to me last night when you told me that it was a stuck valve.
It was a stuck valve.
It was not.
Did Kimberly tell you I filmed that accident?
You what?
I took that footage up to the Point Conception hearings and showed it to a nuclear engineer. Now, you almost uncovered the core, Mr. Goodell.
Mr. Goodell, you lied to me last night. We're not going to leave here until you tell us what happened at the plant.
So some anti-nuclear nut tells you that we almost uncovered the core, but we didn't uncover it, did we? We stopped it in time for one simple reason. And I told you that. The system works. Now, God damn it, that system works. That's not the problem.
So China Syndrome, let's get in because it does pretty well. It's released on March 16th, 1979. Does okay.
The movie opens and does well. And 12 days later, 3 Mile Island, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania happens.
Changes everything. Changes the way people think about the movie, certainly.
It changed the way everybody thought about the picture. You watched the news, and it had the Harrisburg public relations man from 3 Mile Island, split screen with our movies public relations guy saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
They analyzed our meltdown in the movie. There's 150 computer steps that we put together in the script to make it as accurate, talking to experts of what would be the most likely scenario. 90% or more are exactly the same as 3 Mile Island. So it was an epiphany for me. I did not have a lot of formal religious training in my life, but that to me was an epiphany, and really has led me and kept me on this path of trying to eliminate nuclear weapons, you know, and so we didn't.
Let's skip ahead a little bit because Romancing the Stone was released in '84, I think. How did that get to you?
That got to me, that was written by a young lady who was a waitress at a restaurant up in Malibu. It was her first screenplay. And we paid, I was a big producer on the lot at that time, not that far after, you know, getting the Oscar and all of that. And we bought it. Everybody accused us of paying too much money because she was a first-time writer. My philosophy was first time, 10th time script's really good.
I'll pay you $250.
Now, I ain't cheap, but I can't be had. My minimum price for taking a stranded woman to a telephone is $400.
Will you take $375 in traveler's checks?
American Express?
Of course.
Got a deal.
You know, those were tough pictures. Jewel of the Nile, which we shot in Morocco. I lost 6 people in an airplane crash on the movie less than 2 weeks before the movie was going to start. So it sobers you up when you're thinking about making a movie. And it was horrendously difficult because I don't know if you remember, Kathleen Turner did not want to do that movie.
The sequel.
The sequel.
Yeah.
She was happy with Romancing the Stone, but we had a contract to do it, so I had a lawsuit with her. We began the movie with a lawsuit with Kathleen to make her, force her to do the movie. Turned out we were okay, and this tragedy happened too. So that was probably my lowest point as far as what's happened in my producing career.
I remember reading about the lawsuit with Kathleen as I was preparing for this, and you'd been involved with her too. Like you guys had a romance and cared about each other, and then all of a sudden you have to sue her. This is a strange town. Yeah, yeah.
Kathleen's still a dear friend, and I'll always be grateful because I don't know any actress who could have gone through what she did on Romancing the Stone and Jewel. Especially, I was producing them too. So it's like trying to be romantic at the same time looking 360 degrees around you at what the problems are. And there were problems, production problems, and she never failed. I'm very, very grateful to her.
Did that change how Hollywood saw you, Romancing the Stone and then Jewel of the Nile? I mean, they both made huge success.
Yeah, they did a lot. You know, you really raised some issues that I got to go down and think about more deeply. No, it didn't seem to change their perception of me as a kind of a romantic lead. I don't know. I think probably what's happened because of producing and thinking ahead, they probably think that I got this business hat. You know, and producing is less about business than anything I know. It's about material. But I know when we got to Wall Street, when Oliver Stone, Oliver, how did you ever come to me to play the part of Gordon Gekko? he said he was looking for an actor that had a good business acumen. And I said, okay, it's the first time I've heard.
But you did. You produced these movies.
Yeah. And producing, and again, going back to Streets of San Francisco, which has allowed you to understand every aspect, because I directed a couple of those. So you really learn about all aspects of getting a production done.
So let's move then to 1987, this sort of seminal year for you. Which Fatal Attraction was released a couple of months before. Which one did you shoot first?
Fatal we shot first because we ended up changing the ending.
Right.
There was a lot of discussion about that because we changed the ending. First of all, we had to get in sync and get agreement because there were certain members of the party who did not want to change the ending.
The original ending, or an original ending, was that the Glenn Close character kills herself and you're framed for it.
Right.
But you didn't think that was a satisfying ending, and neither did Adrian Lyne, the director.
Correct. When I remember going to see the movie in the first cut, it was like unbelievable. And then the ending happened, and she takes her own life, which doesn't give me the benefit after she's ruined my family or destroyed my life and my wife's. And it's really a tribute to how good Glenn was, that the audience was kill the bitch, you know? I mean,
I don't know what you're up to, but I'm gonna tell you it's gonna stop right now.
No, it's not gonna stop. It's gonna go on and on until you face up to your responsibilities.
What responsibilities?
I'm pregnant. I'm gonna have our child.
Alex, that's your choice, honey. That has nothing to do with me.
I just want to be a part of your life.
Oh, this is the way you do it, huh? Showing up at my apartment?
What am I supposed to do? You won't answer my calls. You change your number. I mean, I'm not going to be ignored, Dan.
Glenn was the last person you thought you'd hire for that part. The whole lick was more kind of conservative and this and that. And I remember she came in for her reading, and she had her hair in the Medusa style, and she came down, and she was crazy. And immediately, Adrian and I sat there and went, okay, and said, wow. And this was a person who wanted that part, and she was out there, and she committed. Because that was where Adrian was so smart. But I said, no, let's not do the old cliche thing. You have your wife, a dowdy wife, and this sexy, hot little adulteress and all that. I said, let's make my wife beautiful.
Yeah, Anne Archer is beautiful.
Anne Archer's gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous.
And she's not just gorgeous, she's like delightful.
Yeah.
And supportive and wonderful.
And wonderful.
And then in the first 15 minutes, you cheat on her.
Right.
And somehow, the audience is with you. And there's a scene in the movie where you come back to the apartment after spending the weekend with Glenn Close, and you realize, I gotta roll around in my bed, make it look like I've been sleeping in my bed. And that got a laugh.
This is where I learned, something about myself that first of all, why do I like to play these gray area characters or these darker characters? And for some reason, audiences forgive me. I'm not quite sure what, but we're watching the movie and I've just cheated on, and I'm going home, make my bed look like I slept there. And the audience laughed, and Sherry Lansing, the producer, said, I can't believe this. They've forgiven you already. They've already forgiven you.
So that gets followed up immediately with Wall Street and Oliver Stone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Gordon Gekko was a reminder of how few good parts you get in your career. And that was a great part. My strength generally, because as an actor, I'm a producer, that I'm pretty good looking at material, not as concerned whether I have the good part or bad part, but whether I think it's going to make a good movie. And that's what I really kind of focus on. And then my role, or at least I assume the role, because I'm usually in pictures where I'm the lead and kind of carrying a lot, is to make everybody else as comfortable as possible to do their best work. Everybody's got to be good for the movie to be good. But Gekko was a great part.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms. Greed for life, for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward surge of mankind, and greed, you mark my words, will not only save Teldar Paper, but that other malfunctioning corporation called the USA. Thank you very much.
2 weeks into shooting, Oliver Stone comes to you, knocks on your trailer.
Ben, you've done a lot of homework. You've done a lot. He's scary. You're not really. Yeah, I'm in my second week. I'm in the trailer. Listen, we've already done. We've done the seduction scene of Charlie in the back of the limo. We've done a 21 Club scene with Charlie. About 2 weeks in, and Myers Oliver. So yeah, come on, Oliver. Yeah, how you doing? I said, how you feeling? I said, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling all right. I said, Michael, are you doing drugs? I said, what? I said, no, I'm not doing drugs. Oh, because you look like you never acted before in your life. I go. Jeez. So I never look at dailies, the film, unless I have to. I always just look at.
You look at dailies when you're a producer, but.
Oh yeah, I'm producing.
But when you're just acting,
when I'm acting, I don't look at dailies, because you always look at what's bad. But I say, well, I guess I better take a look. So I go in and I look at the work, and I'm not a big fan of Michael Douglas. I'm not, I see the stuff. I go, well, it looks pretty good. I don't know, it looks pretty good. So I go back to Oliver. I said, Oliver, I thought it looked pretty good. He said, yeah, it does, doesn't it? I said, what do you, and Oliver wanted just a little bit more anger, Kirk Douglas, like under repressed, a little more anger and this and that, and was willing to forego our relationship to get that performance. And I worked my ass off after that conversation. I worked my ass off to try to get to a point in my dialogue and everything else. Now, mind you look back at Oliver Stone's career. You look back at Jimmy Woods in El Salvador. You look back at Charlie Sheen in Platoon. You look back at Tom Cruise in Born on the 4th of July. You look back at Kevin Costner in JFK. Every actor has probably given their best performance with Oliver Stone. Because whether it's his Vietnam mentality, he wants you in the trench with him. He does not play the patriarch figure that a lot of directors do. He challenges you. And so I'm deeply grateful to Oliver, for that opportunity, for that part, and to help me achieve what he wanted to see.
Wow. I don't want to turn into your therapist, but I think if I were your therapist, I think he would say, when you say, I go look at the dailies, and you say, I'm not really a fan of Michael Douglas. Like, what does that mean?
I don't think actors are artists. I think we're craftsmen. I didn't write the part, unless you did. I didn't write the part. I didn't direct it. I'm serving a role. Maybe it's just being tough on yourself, but it's very seldom that I felt truly inspired by a role or something that's taken me somewhere else. Most of the time, I feel like a workman and a craftsman. There are actors who Albert Finney, I deeply admire. Watching Jack Nicholson perform when I used to watch Cuckoo's Nest in the scenes, and here is a guy that uses a camera to be more open and more exposed in his life than he is in the actual life that he lives, which is more sheltered. There's a magic for him in front of the camera, and there are some that have it.
He was nominated for an Oscar, too, the same year as you were for Wall Street, but he was pulling for you.
Well, he had one already. Or two.
So you make these two really successful movies with Kathleen Turner.
I know where you're going.
Romancing a Stone Jewel in the Nile. And then you go in a different direction with War of the Roses.
Yeah. Danny DeVito, who's my bro, he and I were roommates together in 1968 in New York City as young actors. And he sends me this wonderful script by Michael Leeson. He says, I'd like some help, maybe, any thoughts you have. Well, I'm reading it, and I say, man, this is a great part for me. Danny didn't say nothing about me. He just said the part. So I read it and I say, yeah, I think it's great. Make a couple of little suggestions. I say, but you can't, obviously, the ending you got to change, right? I mean, it's funny, but you can't have them die in the end of the movie. You can't do it.
Right.
No way.
Right.
And he looks at me, he's smiling. Finally, I'm on my knees begging for the part. And he looks at me, you know, and he finally admits that he was thinking of me all the time. That was the joy. That was our third picture together, and I understood why actors work together all the time, especially in the old days. There's a comfort factor when you work together before. You don't have to do the hi, how are you, Michael? Hi, nice to meet you, and you can step on each other's lines a little bit. There's a relaxation and an ease about it, and it was just such a hilarious, dark picture.
If you don't get out of here now, you have no idea how far I'll go.
How far? Tell me. Sure, we've been horrible to each other, but we had something. We still do. We haven't passed any point of no return.
I have.
I'm not convinced. Nobody who makes pâté this good can be all bad.
That depends on what the pâté is made of. Woof.
Let's move ahead to one of my favorite Michael Douglas movies. I think one of yours, Falling Down.
Yeah, the fall.
Where were you in your career? What brought you to that script?
It was Ebby Rose Smith wrote it, and it was going to be like for a cable movie. But I read it and I said, ugh. Yeah, because it was 1990, was the fall of the Berlin Wall, and a lot of people don't remember, but Southern California was sort of the defense center industries of our country.
Right.
Many Hughes and many industries were there. So here I am reading the script about a guy you call defense who has just been fired from the company because we were successful and the walls come down and now there's no need for him. A true patriot.
Right.
Who now
dedicated his life
to defending our country and working this area, and now has been fired. And it was a great concept, you know, against Southern California with all the insanity. And it's a picture, it's funny that it constantly is brought up as one that people generally like. But I remember, for instance, there was a Korean grocers scene where I go in and go ballistic in a Korean grocers because I'm trying to get some change made. And soon after the picture was released, I get a call from Warner Bros. Michael, can you come on down here? I said, it'd be like a meeting. I said, am I likely to meet the gentleman who are head of the Korean Grocers Association? I said, hi. I said, they're not happy. I said, they're not happy. He said, so look, and I tried to explain there's a reason why the writer took the scene and made it what it is, and that it relates to a lot of the audience. It hit sort of a zeitgeist and hit, you know, when he ended up with the weapons he ended up with, a whammy burger. We don't serve breakfast only until...
Yeah, and that whammy burger scene where you can't get breakfast at a fast food restaurant because it's after lunch, you know, that is more violent but reminiscent of Jack Nicholson in 5 Easy Pieces. There's a definite through line to that, yeah.
Have you ever heard the expression, the customer is always right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here I am, the customer.
That's not our policy. You have to order something from the lunch menu.
I don't want lunch. I want breakfast.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm really sorry, too.
Another movie I love with a Bob Dylan song in the soundtrack, Wonder Boys.
Yeah, Wonder Boys. Thank you. It was a wonderful book, very good. Curtis Hanson, again, a script I just read I thought was wonderful. I love the shaggy dog kind of qualities about it. Well, love him running around that dead dog in the trunk. A great cast. Frances McDormand, I was having an affair with her, not in the movie.
I got it, in the movie,
thing.
sure.
She was the wife, okay?
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr., Tobey Maguire, Katie Holmes. It was a real great ensemble cast. Curtis Hanson directed, who we've lost recently, wonderful director.
Well, there's also transformation for you. Like all of a sudden, like that movie, you're clicking over and you're playing an older guy.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely one of my favorites.
So that year, 13 years after Fatal Attraction and Wall Street, you do a year where you do Traffic and Wonder Boys. Those are two phenomenal films. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And let's move ahead to a little bit of the more recent work. You mentioned being in Palm Springs with your dad in the summer and the glaring lights as he gets out of the car of meeting Liberace. And then we do Behind the Candelabra.
Thank you.
What was that experience like?
It's got to go back to when I was doing Traffic with Steven Soderbergh, and we're in the middle of it, drug czar, and Steve is a character who said, "You ever thought about playing Liberace?"
So during Traffic, which by the way, if anybody hadn't seen Traffic, make that your job this weekend.
Right.
I skipped through Traffic because we don't have much time, but Traffic's amazing. So during Traffic.
Now this is like, the guy who's paranoid from what Oliver Stone's saying. So I'm thinking, Jesus, and I play the drug czar, and I said, what am I, mincing? I mean, I said, what's going on?
What am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong? I said, no, he just thought, so that was, I remember that hindsight. So lo and behold, the way he is, and I mean, flashback, I just had a whole cancer bout. Was happy to be, just got my clean whistle, at least initially, having a stage 4 cancer and all of that. Lost a lot of weight. Thank you, that's good. So there's always tough ways to get applause, but so we do it. So
I'm alive, thanks.
I'm alive, right? But, and I was wondering would I ever work again. Weight was down, energy, and Steven sends me the script. Behind the Candelabra. Jerry Weintraub is producing it, Steven is directing it, and Matt Damon is my co-star. I can't believe it. And I read it, and it's just, my God, it's great. Richard LaGravenese is a great writer, and this and that. And, and how is this? I'm coming out of this, I'm getting one of the best parts and pieces I ever got before. I said, God, absolutely, this is great. And then Steven says, listen, I got one kind of commitment I got to do before, and Matt comes up. I have also got a picture, so let's hold on to this and let's do it in a year. My heart sinks. I think this is not going to happen. Right. This is not going to happen. Well, but of course I don't realize, because I've just come out of Happy to Be Alive, that these guys have all taken a look at me, and I'm not ready. As well as I think I might be, I'm still way underweight. For
so they, without telling you this, they put the whole thing on hold
on themselves,
and because they want to wait for you,
and on themselves, they make it like it's their problem. Don't worry. I'm thinking. I mean, that's really good guys. The other issue of it was, this whole thing, they go to every studio, low-budget movie, every studio passes. And Jerry Weintraub, bless his soul, was a great seller and promoter. Every single studio passes. Then HBO says, great. So I then have a year, which is perfect, and it's turned out to be great, sort of like while waiting for casting for Cuckoo's Nest. I have a year to work on Liberace.
What do you do?
I'm working on the piano stuff. I'm working on Thank You Very Much, and this. My son is, he can do the whole script by heart. And so by the time we all get together and we're going to shoot, and I rented a house up in Malibu, and I throw a little cast party before the show starts, and Matt is there, and Matt tells the story. And we're talking, and my son, Dylan, he was a lovely actor in himself, he's 16 now. Dylan just starts doing the whole part and doing everything else. And Matt says, that's when I knew we'd be in great shape. When I saw Michael's son, play every line in the picture, I knew how much time he'd been spending on it, so.
Is that the most you've ever prepped for a role then? Sounds like it.
Yeah, that and Wall Street.
Yeah.
And so then it was just looking at Matt and asking him what flavor of Blistex he liked, you know, so.
My mother, she wanted me to be classical, but I just couldn't stay out of the saloons. But I did have a concert at the Hollywood Bowl, and I was excited. If you've never been there, it's open air, it's tremendous. It's got 10,000 people. Well, I show up for the rehearsal, and I look at this vast, this beautiful, enormous open air theater. And I look at the black piano. I think, black piano, black tuxedo. Who is gonna see me in this giant clamshell? Well, I ask you, can you see me now?
I wasn't planning to talk about this, but because you brought it up, and it just struck me as something really interesting. You're stage 4 cancer, and your father had, following a near-fatal helicopter accident, has a stroke that, by your accounts and by his accounts, made him a different man in the best possible way. Did your illness do the same to you?
Yeah, I mean, my father had he was 70. We were almost like close to the same age. He was 70, and he had a buddy who had a helicopter, and they were flying together here in Southern California. And they're leaving an airport, and they hit a Pitts aerobatic plane with an 18-year-old student pilot. And the instructor, they went down immediately, exploded, both of them died. And my father, they were like about 40 feet. And the helicopter came down, gasoline pouring out, the rotor still going, it didn't catch fire. And he didn't break a bone. He was black and blue. And on his end, he started a whole quest about why I am alive and this 18-year-old kid is dead. And that brought him back to, I think, his original Judeo roots. And he got together with the Rabbi Volpe, and he began to study the Old Testament, chapter by chapter. And it totally changed my father as a man. He was a hard, tough-working, demanding guy on himself and everybody else. And it brought a tremendous amount of spirituality to his life. And I really, as proud as I am of all that he's accomplished, to watch what he's done in his third act of his life it's been amazing. It's really extraordinary, and it brought a peace to him and to his marriage, and a solace that is quite amazing. And I would say, once I started coming out the other end and read about as much as I wanted to read about stage 4,
yeah,
it gave a whole new appreciation. It also allowed me a fair amount of time to spend with my wife and my children. So my balance has changed at a good time. As you get into your 70s, it's not like you're getting the same role demands that you had before. And I think it was a question of how blessed I was to have the family I had around me and the life. So it's for many of us who may be getting there, you start not taking your years for granted. I sort of try to plan my years. I try to take advantage or think about them and what I'm going to do, whereas before I may have been a little more reactive.
It's weird in your case and stars like you because, the normal events, difficult events of your life, they play out in the press. So, and I don't know your wife. I've never met your wife, but she's very famous. She's a very good actress. And I just, and it's that weird thing about celebrity, and then and you guys separated, and then when I and everyone else read that you were back together, I just remember being happy, and I don't know you guys,
Well, thank you. I think you both kind of want to make it happen. If every marriage has got its issues and this and that, and if one is going out the door, no matter how hard you try, it isn't going to happen. But I think if you're fortunate enough to take a look and you want to make it work, you want to try, then I think you can succeed, not necessarily all the time, but you really have the grounds. And then when you do succeed, it makes you tighter than ever before. We're like 17 years now, you know, so we're getting along.
Michael Douglas, thank you. This has been tremendous.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Michael Douglas, everybody.
Thank you all, huh?